Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Greetings and welcome to the program, kids. It is Thursday. It is time for some Midnight's Edge After Dark. It's live. It's Memorex. We don't know. CC Karaoke is here. How's Canada?
Yes, it's good. You can see fall starting to set in. Parked in one of my favorite campgrounds, so yeah.
It's got to be getting cooler up there. It's been getting cooler around here.
Yes, think about 55, 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
Not bad.
Wow. Must be nice.
Not bad. And we also have, coming back to the program, it's been a while. How you doing, Six? It's been a tick.
Very, very, very well. I was soaking up some sun today before the Midwestern winter sets in.
Vitamin
Should
D.
be any week now. So I'm having a great day.
That's good to hear. We also have with us the one, the only Clobbering Times. How you doing?
Oh, good, man. How's it going? Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Great to see you, good friends. So go
I
ahead.
forgot to mute before the stream, just so you know. We heard like you listening to your messages.
Your sex spot called.
Yeah.
Really?
It's like all of a sudden I start hearing Raquel's voice. I'm like, where's that coming from?
Oh, you did?
Listening to a phone message or something like, oops.
That was Raquel. She'll kill me if she hears me call her a sex bot.
Too late now.
Clipped.
I love
right
Raquel in a
telling you
completely
right now.
respectful way.
I'm telling you right now.
I muted it before you even knew who it was, obviously. So I knew who it was because I recognize the voice. I'm like, where's
I
that?
thought I'd mute it. Now that she, I had to go to it because we're doing a show later. She had to let me know what her status
Yeah,
was.
it's no big deal. I just muted it. So I'm like, that's not for us. Like,
Oops.
I just knew it was a female.
Yep. Well, yeah. So
does Mrs. Clobby know? No.
There's no Mrs. Clobby, but there are plenty of candidates. I get a lot of calls from lots of ladies. So yeah.
There you go.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
right. Yeah, right.
You get
Sure,
taco
everyone
favorite
really believe that.
pieces?
I'm sure they're all going, yeah, sure. But
I'm sure you do. If I was a lady, I'd chase you.
Well-
Speaking of chasing, Halloween's coming, right? And there's a movie that has a great chase scene in it. And I got something here that I don't know if you guys would be interested in. It's the Wolf
Ooh.
from American Werewolf in London, the NECA Ultimate.
Take it out.
Oh, wow.
I might eventually. I don't know. I only got one.
But be careful.
But you can get it yourself. Yeah, if you get bit, you're fucked.
No, well, I mean, because NECA made it.
Well, they've been getting a little better. I actually talked to Mike about that a little bit
Okay.
recently, actually. Our friend Mike over at Retro Blasting. And he's been giving him a second chance now that he heard from me and others that they've been improving the quality of their toys a little bit. And this feels pretty solid just from the weight. But yeah, here's the link, guys, in the chat. If you get that from Entertainment Earth, you'll help us out here at the channel as well. So yeah, there
That's
you go.
really nice.
It's a nice, looks nice. I want to get it out, but I'm like, should I or shouldn't I? It's huge.
I say whip it out.
It's big. It's heavy as hell too.
You wish.
There's two faces for it, as you can see here. You get him snarling and not so snarling, or whatever you call it, bloody mouth version, and running through the streets of London version.
Are there
Like-
side views of it on the website?
Let me see here. There might be. Ooh, we get some. Oh, like
Oh,
you
yeah.
get some glamour shots of it even. Look at that.
I like the
Oh.
detail.
Yeah, they do a good job on these.
Amazing.
They even got a victim down there.
That's cool. You can make a nice diorama
Yeah,
to back that up.
and they do. Looks like they got the right kind of. This is a thing that they've had issues with. Is like when they get into like the really kind of
Articulation.
yeah, the Gremlins they really effed up on, but it sees here they went more along the lines of the newer stuff they've been doing. That's another thing that some of us have been griping about that they've fixed a little bit is how they do some of the legs and stuff. But
Well, they always look great. NECA figures always looked fantastic.
no, they've been getting a lot more solid though, Klobby. That's the thing, and
Okay.
working on the articulation points and all that kind of stuff and how it works. And they're
Excellent.
still a little tough in some, like trying to get them move to move sometimes, but
Sure.
yeah.
Do some cool stuff though.
Absolutely. So check that out. If you use that link that I posted in the chat there, you actually help us out here at the channel. There you go.
Yeah, and if you find something on Entertainment Earth that you are thinking about buying, let Tom know which one, and he can send you a link that will help out Midnight's
Yeah.
Edge.
And I think if you buy more stuff after, like you click on there, put that in your cart and keep going, I think that still count towards it, but I haven't figured it all out yet. So, yeah. But with that, we've got some stories to talk about. It doesn't look like we got any super chats to start with or member chats, so we'll just get right into the news. We were talking a little bit about One Piece before the show. I don't think anybody here has seen it but me as far as the new Netflix series, but it has been renewed already. That was pretty quick. And I'm not surprised considering it was supposedly the biggest hit in Netflix history, even beating out like Wednesday and Stranger Things, according to early reports. But I enjoyed it. I was very surprised how much I enjoyed it.
I don't understand exactly what it is because I've never heard so much anime talk backstage on a Midnight's Edge channel as I did before this show.
See,
So
you
I
can't think of
understand that
it.
it's live action.
Yeah.
But if I watched this and I didn't know it was based on anime, would I know it was based on anime?
No,
No.
very,
Well,
very
yeah.
little to really tie it into that. Maybe just some of the Eastern kind of feel to it, maybe, if anything. But basically, the best way I can explain it to somebody is it's a world, its own world. It's not Earth, right? It's a world of pirates. Like,
Butt
it's kind
pirates?
of, yeah, but pirates, tons of them. No, it's a world of pirates, and you have like basically the pirates versus the Navy or the Marines or whatever. And in the beginning of the story, the whole thing is set up that there's a pirate who had found the greatest treasure of all, and it's called the One Piece. And he's the only one who knew where it was, but he got killed before he could tell anybody. So for the last 20 years, every pirate on the planet has been looking for the One Piece. And we're introduced to the story through this character named Luffy, who has wanted nothing more in his whole life than to be a pirate. And he's setting out on his way to find the One Piece. And you come to learn that he actually has some special powers, and he's not the only one, but other people do. And they get them by eating these things called devil fruits. So basically it's a fruit. They give you a power, but it's also a curse at the same time. So that's kind of the setup. And his special powers, he's stretchy. So basically he's kind of like Mr. Fantastic in a way. And he just kind of gets this band of, they're not necessarily misfits together, but reluctant band together, let's say. And it just, that's kind of the first season is putting the whole group together, and you kind of see where the story's going from there. And I just like how they put it together. It's kind of like a pirates meets superheroes with a little bit of kung fu movie mixed in is what it feels like to me. It's the best way to explain it.
Well, this is why you can't trust Twitter, because I read somebody, they were doing a thread about it, and they said that it was about this guy who he's like early 20s, and has leukemia, and he's dying, and he's a virgin, and so he's looking for one piece of ass. So he goes. And I was like, well, that's no wonder Tom's all about that show.
That's a porno. parody, I
But that
guess.
that sounds, the way you describe it, that actually sounds interesting.
Yeah, that's a funny ass joke. No, it's really like no, it's kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean with just a smidge of superhero mixed in with kung fu movie kind of thing. Only it's not set in our history, if that makes any sense. So you kind of have it's with a little bit of Star Wars almost, with kind of the way you got these other creatures that are like fish people and stuff like that.
A lot of
So,
mermaids.
I haven't seen a mermaid yet. I don't know if they're not in here or not.
Down the road.
I imagine
Probably.
there's other aquatic creatures of sorts. There's
So
been
it's
already
like
been a
Star
sea
Wars
monster.
meets Aquaman.
Sort of, yeah, because there's already been like a sea monster bit, and there's a person, not to give too much away, that Luffy, the main character, is kind of basing himself on, who's kind of like an Obi-Wan figure to him of sorts. So yeah, you can kind of get elements in there of and you can kind of look at the Marines kind of like the Empire.
And that backstory's in the first few episodes of the anime.
Yeah.
So it's
a very world building type
Yeah,
of
they
thing.
do a good job of building the world, letting you know what you need to know as you go along. You don't feel like you're being bombarded with a bunch of crap that you don't need to know or unnecessary exposition. I mean, everything kind of comes along and you really get sucked in. Like they know how to leave you hanging at the end of every episode. And it's almost like a level thing. Like it's almost kind of set up that they have these wanted posters, and that's what like Luffy's whole thing is like. They kind of rate the pirates as far as how wanted they are by the amount of their bounty. So like that's Luffy's whole thing, is he wants to get on a wanted poster. But like they go through each of the pirates that they face almost like a, one's worse than the last, because they show their wanted poster and it's like, well, this one's wanted for 15 million berry. Well, they want 35 million berry for this one, like it kind of shows you how bad each one is he's dealing with as they go along. So each episode has its own baddie of sorts. So it works in that kind of episodic way.
So I haven't seen the show, but I've seen some of the anime, and it's got.
I don't know if the anime works like that or not, but yeah.
Well, it's got a great cast of characters, but it's definitely light. It's there's levity to it. It's not too serious. I'm guessing this. Probably the same. A little bit of light humor to go with the action.
Yeah, and Golf says here they really get much worse later on. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As you keep going, you can tell each one he's facing is worse than the last, than the last, than the last. And it's almost like a Mortal Kombat level up kind of thing in a weird way. But then you got like his crew. You've got, shit, what the hell's her name? Nami.
Yeah.
She's got her whole background and what she's up to and what her motivations are. And Luffy brings them all together because they all like his whole thing is, what is your dream? Right? Because his dream was always to be a pirate. So then he'll ask everybody what at some point what their dream is, and he tries to be the friend to help them make their dream come true, kind of thing. And then you got Usopp back there, whose father was a pirate and such like that, and they kind of run across him later on in the show. And the guy to his right is his right hand man. That's Zoro, and that's my favorite character in the show. He's actually played by Sonny Shiba's son. Believe it or not, I don't know if you're familiar with him or not from kung fu movies and such.
Yeah,
and he was in Kill Bill. And then the guy on the far left, I can't remember his name offhand, but he's like this. He's a chef actually who's trying to get to the same place they are, because supposedly they have foods and things from exotic foods and such that you can't get anywhere else at the Grand Line is what it's called. And what the Grand Line is this huge line of land mass at the end of the ocean kind of thing that kind of separates the four quadrants that they live in. It's an interesting story. They do a good job of setting the world up. A lot of great world building and how things work. I had a few questions. There's a few things that I know some of the fans were upset about, like a certain character like Garp being brought in so soon and such. And I didn't care for his resolution at the end of the season. But overall, the whole season was really fun and it kept me sucked in. I binged most of it in one day. And I'm not a binge person usually. So, I mean, I am, but I'm not. Like, I don't have the time to do that. So,
how many
like for
episodes?
me it's 8 episodes. So I set aside like enough time to watch the last 6 episodes, because I watched the first one and I'm like, I got to get back to it. I watched the second one. I'm like, I'll get to it this weekend before Flashcast. That was last week or whatever. And then so I can't remember if it was Friday or Saturday. I think it was Saturday. I just sat there and watched all 6 of the last episodes. No, I let nothing else distract me. I think you messaged me at that time. I'm like, I'm watching One Piece. You're like, isn't that an anime? And I'm like, no, it's the live action version.
Yeah.
I was sucked in. I'm like, nothing else was going to distract me at that point. But yeah, so good for them. They got a second season already. Hopefully the strikes, I don't know if the strikes will even affect this, to be honest with you. Good news
Well,
to
I'm
start
happy
out the
for
show.
you for your new adventure down the weeb lane.
No, I'm pretty far from that.
I
I bet you might like it though, 6. What were you gonna say, Clobby?
How much do you want to bet?
$5.
I bet you
$5?
like it.
Okay.
I bet you like it.
It's got
That's my
elements in
list.
it that I think you could gravitate towards.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just like, I don't want to say that. You don't love anime as much as I don't love anime, so the fact that you're a big fan of it, I'm probably gonna.
That's what I
try
mean.
it.
I never felt like it was an anime while watching it, but then when I started watching the anime, I'm like, oh no, I can't do this. Like, because the anime is just chock full of all the hallmarks that I hate.
Tom, what if a year from now you and I are sitting here having an anime panel and we're like, remember when?
Don't remind me, because Andre was talking again
this.
about Midnight's Edge anime the other day.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh
And I'm
man.
just like, don't.
Yeah. You never know.
I'm in for that.
I know. That's what I told him. Like, yeah, we got plenty of people who want to be involved. Not me.
Not
This
it.
is no, I tried 15 minutes or so, 10 minutes, I think it was, and it's full of a lot of the freeze frame animation and the characters with all like the stuff and all that kind of stuff, just the manic shit.
I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball. I've watched it more than once, but you can't really lump all anime into that sphere.
That's
right?
and that's what I'm
different
saying.
Types.
I know, and this is where I said the hallmarks that I hate, right? And some of them don't fall into those categories. I mean, especially like most of the movies, they don't. Like I've seen like Akira and a few other anime before, and I wouldn't consider those cheap, or I wouldn't say that those have the hallmarks of things that I hate. It feels like a natural animated film. But when you get to some of those things that anime does to cheapen out or do things, or the style they do, I just don't like the flashy stuff. Like the only stuff I grew up on that was even remotely close to anime would probably be Transformers and Speed Racer.
Speed
I was
Racer,
never a big fan of Speed Racer at all. See, that has all this stuff that I dislike about anime, to where Transformers is more closer to the type of stuff that I can watch when they get, a little bit more higher quality and stuff, if that makes sense.
There are certain aspects to a shonen which will run for 1,000 episodes that you might not get in a 12 episode, but also, and I'm not going to compare One Piece to a soap opera, but there is one thing that's similar. It's the necessity for them to just keep churning it out every week.
Well, they get deeper into like interpersonal politics too. That's the thing I noticed as well, and that's fine. You can do that. That's the soap opera element, right? Like it's not even so much about romance in quotation. It's just just the interpersonal relationships between people, and there's a bit of that here. Like that's what the whole show is set up on. Is this Luffy character? He just wants to put his crew together. And if it wasn't for the fact that they picked the right person to play this role, because in the cartoon I found him annoying. Here, this guy who plays this, I don't know the kid's name, he is the show, right? Like he is the reason everybody follows him, and he's likable. You understand why people like him. And he has this it's almost aloof, but not quite aloof, even though Luffy is his name. It's more of a lackadaisy kind of like everything will be as it is kind of attitude towards everything. And he almost acts like he's always meant to be there, even when he knows he's not. And I just love that attitude about him.
I ended up getting that from the anime as well. So it sounds like it's true to his character. He's very well. Pirates of the Caribbean was not actually a terrible. This is because Johnny Depp in that movie has a very lackadaisical.
Yes, that's kind of true. He kind of reminds me of Captain Jack. Yeah, very good comparison. Thank you.
It's fun. It's fun to watch that.
But he's not drunk. That's the only difference.
It's true.
But yeah, that's a good comparison. I never even thought about that really, because that's what makes Pirates likable, is his character, and he kind of has that same kind of way of him, right? Very similar in that respect. But with Luffy, he's not drunk. It's just he just doesn't care. But he does care, but it's kind of I don't know how to explain it. but whatever he's doing, whatever this kid did to make it work, it's works. It works. That's all I can say. And I buy all the characters. I mean, for the most part, I mean, there's a few I have some issues with, but anyway, for the most part, they're fine. Somebody said it's a pooper sticker. I bet it was 6.
Mhm.
Did you do that to test the super chats?
I did. As soon as you said, "Well, don't have any super chats yet," I
Yeah.
thought, Tom needs some poopy.
Well, that's a setup for Amber Turd, I think. She returns. Nicholas Horton has been here. He just became a member. I'm sorry. Let's see what level. If I can still see it. No, I got Tripping Orc here. I don't have yours.
I
Here.
don't have it.
We scroll back. Got a lot of member chats today. Thank you guys. Maximum effort, puppy. Thank you so much. Get the sticker for you here. We haven't done this one in a little bit. There you go. Thank you very much, Nicholas. I think you are already a member. I think you just upgraded, but just the same, thank you for that. Randall Orser, speaking of members, says season 2 for One Piece has been greenlit. Yes, it has, Randall. Yeah, you may have sent that in before we got to the story, but yes, it was. Many Dragon 5 says, as a fan of One Piece, Tom, that's not bad. That's not a bad way to describe it. Well, thank you. Glad you like it. Mermaids come along later in the story. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. It would totally make sense. The only thing that was probably on the nose for me, and I know a few other people agreed, was the fishmen in this. And I don't know if it's this way in the comics and the anime, but they really paint them to be the like an analogy for black people and slaves
Mm.
in the story. And ironically, they're all played by black people except for like one, I think.
Weird.
Fishermen guys, yeah. They're called fishermen, but they're actually fishmen.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, as a fan of One Piece, that was not okay. I read this one already. Thank you so much, Many Dragon. Mr. Tickle Trunk says anime just cheaps out on frames, so they spend time on action animations. That's why you get those freeze frames where people's mouths just move, etc. Yeah, and I mean, I don't even have a problem so much with. Look, that's the old Hanna-Barbera shortcut and Filmation shortcut. That part I don't even have a problem with so much as like you have like crowd scenes where like literally nobody's moving and stuff, and they're supposed to be running away and such is a great example. The way Kobe is animated and treated in the anime so far that I saw was just really annoying as piss. And I did not like how they introduced the character or the show. I just thought the live action handled it much better and built it up better, and the cast really helps. Tripping Orc says you should watch Porco Rosso by Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I think I've seen that one before, actually, like years ago, like 25 years ago, 20 years ago, something like that. We got Nick Weiser here, all 32 flavors of them. How you doing, sir?
Hey.
I'm good, man. Happy to be
I'm good.
here. And nice to see you, CC, Six, Tom, and Klobby. Hello, chat. Hello, wrenches. What did I miss?
Hey,
Anime?
Nick. Something about
Anime.
anime.
Just
I
One
took a
Piece.
little
One
sneak.
Piece. I am halfway on the show, and
Oh, and what'd you think?
I am shocked with how over the moon I am about it. I love it. I straight up love it. And I think it's fantastic.
Sucks you in, doesn't it? And the kid playing Luffy is like brilliant.
Perfect. Ironcaster, I don't know if he's out there listening, but it sent me a few weeks ago, and this is probably why he did it, by the way. I didn't even know. Like, if he had told me a month ago there was gonna be a One Piece show, I had no idea. But he sent me the book. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll read it. He sent it to me. It's the least I could do for the guy. And I read book volumes 1 and 2. I'm like, oh, hey, this is good. And then, surely enough, I found out, oh, hey, there's a show kind of. Oh, I see what Caster was doing. And yeah, I end up finishing volume 3 as well. And now I'm halfway on the show. And yeah, I just absolutely love it. There's lots of great character work. Almost every character is very fascinating their own way. They're all different. They all act different. And even the fights are great too. The story is just such a big, like, open world story. It's fun and it's serious when it needs to be. It doesn't even feel polarizing like a Taika Waititi, where it's like super one end spectrum. When it needs to be funny, it goes for it, and when it's serious, it goes for it. And Yeah, it's so crazy too how even the suits and everything, which is in a Netflix adaptation, actually looks good. Because usually Netflix adaptations, even the better ones, they always look like they came straight from a Party City clearance aisle. This time around, I actually like a lot of the outfits this time. It's crazy. And the actors that they pick for these characters are great. And they're even taking some scenes directly from the stories and even some of the dialogue. It's so awesome to see. So yeah, I guess you could say I'm a normie that's hitting believer status.
Awesome. Well, glad to hear it. So you'll be excited for season 2. Cool.
Oh yeah, I got to finish the first second half and then I can get excited. So
Yeah, I wonder if you'll have the same gripe about the way the show or this season ends, like some people did. And I didn't even. It was kind of a to me, but now I'm rewatching it when I
yeah,
have time. I got through the first episode again. There's a
yeah.
lot of stuff I pick up on rewatch
I've heard a lot of
that you'll
people
probably pick up on in the first watch just because you're familiar with it. But yeah,
familiar with it. But you're not the first one to have said that though. I know many people who I've talked to, whether it's normies or book fans, are saying that the show definitely has rewatchability, and that's a good thing because how many shows do we watch once and it's never to be seen or heard from, fade into obscurity? A lot of them. This is a big deal. Like this show is actually a big deal, and you know what? Hey, I'm happy for the manga anime fans because I'm obviously a very normie on this subject, but I'm happy for them and I'm happy to be there for the fun of it. It feels good to be invested in this. It really does. It's like wow, I'm looking forward to being in front of my TV. Here we are saying that about new television. It really is exciting to be a part of this whole thing.
I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it. We got Mr. Tickle Trunk here who says they mention fishmen being second class more often in the live action, but someone also says to them, doesn't matter because you attack people, so it's a wash. Yeah, I just noticed it being very on the nose.
Yeah.
And the fact that all of them are played by black men except for like one kind of really stuck out to me. And the one that isn't is like one that is very questionable on his sexuality. But that's not something they really draw attention to in the show, right? Like that's probably the most on the nose thing in the whole show that I would remotely poke at and go, it's a little woke, but you know what? This is the type of thing they would have done in Star Trek. So I don't have a problem with it. Because they're a fish people. It's not because they're black. Like there's tons of people. Like that's the thing. There's no like set race here. I'm sure that, you know, different people sound and look different from different regions of the planet, but they don't really specify anything like that. Everybody kind of has their own, like, you've got a varied accents and stuff and skin colors and all that kind of business. And at no point is anybody's sex or race really brought up outside of the fishmen. So
Is
that's
this
what I'm saying.
about One Piece still?
Yeah.
I haven't gone that far, so unfortunately. So once I'll have the next
You'll get,
I'll have the second half finished soon so I can get to that part.
yeah. Get used to Buggy.
Oh,
Jason
dude, I
Fox
love
is here.
him. He is that actor is fantastic.
He warmed up to me. I didn't like him at first, but it warmed up to me. But yeah.
Who? Which one?
Buggy the clown.
Oh, okay.
Because he plays a bigger role
Oh.
in the latter half of the show. Jason Fox has become a member as well. I thought you were a member, maybe on the main channel. But you
Have
are
you guys had a
minimum
members
effort.
only live stream recently?
No, Andre and has been dealing with some stuff, and I haven't got back to him on that. We need to do that yet. We need to do something special very soon. But here is a minimum effort puppy just for you. That's Mikey's favorite video. We miss Mikey too. He'll be back soon. It's tax season. You know what I've learned about Mikey? He says it's tax season a lot. I've learned it's tax season every season.
Yeah.
He's like, no, wait. As soon as
Much.
tax season's done, I'll be there all the time. That lasts for about 2 weeks. Then it's the next tax
Yeah,
season.
and then it starts up again.
I know. It's like he doesn't sleep or anything. It's like, boom. But anyway, thank you so much, guys. And then we've got, let's see here, our next story. What did I promise next?
What did you promise next?
I don't remember. There was a segue, and then you popped in, Nick, and I forgot what it was.
I'm sorry. I did not.
I mean, I know the stories we got, but you know what? We're just going to do the Lando story.
Let's do it.
This story made its way around, I think it was yesterday, but now it looks like it's more official via Variety. Donald Glover's Star Wars series Lando is now a movie. And I'm just sitting here thinking, wasn't it a movie before It was a
Was it
series.
ever a movie?
I don't know. I can't remember. I think it.
And this is why I think I was thinking that, because when they first brought it up back in the days of Solo, as you see here back in 2018, that's when they first started talking about it as a movie.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so we're getting a stupid fucking TV series like anybody gives a shit. But Six found this interesting video here that I want to share to you guys. And this is Stephen Glover. That'd be Donald Glover's brother.
Mm-hmm.
And
what does he do?
He writes. He's his writing partner. So they're talking about a movie they had already made. I can't remember the name of it. And working on an upcoming Solo bit, but it's just kind of weird, this conversation here. Let's see what you guys think. We're just gonna play it.
But what I'm registering from all of this is that that your experience releasing Swarm and people having it resonate with them on some level made you think to yourself, I want to do something else that has some element of, does it feel like this thing has risk with it?
Well, I mean, everything has risk with it, and unless it's like,
but look, Swarm, it's like, I'm going to do a show about what it's like to be an unhinged, animalistic Beyonce superfan. And then I'm going to do a show or a movie about Star Wars Lando, which obviously Donald had portrayed Lando before, but the idea of this is going to be our thing, it feels like it's also daring the hive that you just commemorated.
Well, I mean,
to then attack you.
I think that
this is not me trying to persuade you to not do this, by the way.
I'm just curious. I'm not doing it. I've already decided.
This sounds like a dangerous idea, guys. You should have called me first.
No, but I think, everything that's worth doing has some risk to it, especially when you care about the quality of things. I think that's a big part of us is we don't want to do things that are just going to be mediocre or just going to be they came and went, or that was fine enough.
You guys take swings.
Exactly. So there's always going to be some risk. And with something like this, there's going to be people who are really going to judge you based on it.
When they realize you guys made Lando white,
yeah,
it's going to be.
When they realize that Lando is, everything has been run past the DNC first before.
Woke Lando?
Woke Lando.
That's right.
None of the stuff you saw in the movies is canon. So
Critical race theory Lando. Not going to play well on Reddit.
Yeah, no, they're not going to like it. But I mean, I think it's just I think a lot of people would probably be worried to do something like this because of the pressure of pissing off these fans, but I think it's
you're like Bane is what you're saying. I hear you rounding your way to being born in the darkness.
Exactly. It's I was
molded in
exactly. It. This is what I want. This is what I live for. I want to, because that's the other thing too. It's like Eli Manning. To circle this back to football.
I have no idea how this is like Eli Manning.
Let me explain how this is like Eli Manning. Eli Manning comes into the NFL. He's supposed to go to the Chargers. He's like, nah, I want to go to New York. He comes to New York. So there's already that hanging over him. Then he comes in. People are like, man, you are nothing like Peyton. You got this look on your face. You got this body. Everybody's like, man, I don't know. This kid has, and then it's like,
yeah, I'll probably stop it here soon.
The Patriots, on a crazy run with.
I want to hear his point here.
And now it's greatest team of all time.
Exactly.
Derp face Peyton Manning.
And now I'm sure Eli can walk into any bodega in New York and get a chopped cheese for free. He's the man now. It's most people do not want to step into that cauldron of the New York Giants quarterback position.
All right, so I get what he's saying there. So what's your guys' reaction to this? I'm curious. What you think this spells for the Solo movie? Who wants to go first on this? Who wants to crack away?
Endless word salad.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Donald Glover. I like the work he does. And what I'm getting from this interview is that it sounds like he's saying they would like to do it correctly, but there's going to be a lot of interference. I don't think he's saying that he believes in having Lando have relations with robots. I think that he's coming from the perspective that he doesn't want to have that happen. They don't want to get backed into that corner. So I like it. Whether or not I believe that, I believe his concerns are valid. So if the series comes out, that doesn't mean that I think it's going to be good. I'm just.
Clobby?
Well, I don't know this guy. Know nothing about him. It's kind of difficult to read what he's talking about. It could well be that he's cognizant of the controversy that has been going on since, well, since Disney took over, and Force Awakens and Last Dead Guy and all that kind of stuff, and the uproar over Solo and all that kind of stuff. And it could be he knows what's going on in some of the terms of the furor that arises when these something like Star Wars or even Marvel or something like that has a new movie, new TV and show, and it almost sounds like to me he's really not all that interested in hearing his brother getting into one of those things. He's always like, I kind of like stay away from that kind of stuff. Not again, am I reading that he's which side he's on? Like he's anti-woke or something? It's almost just like he doesn't really like the woke stuff and doesn't want to get involved in it. But that's just the vibe I get off the guy. But I don't know who he is. I've never seen him before until today, so I could be wrong.
What do you think, Six?
He's joking throughout the entire interview. I think I listened to like the first half of it on 2X. But is he joking because it's not going to happen, or is he saying it and then later he can say, well, I told y'all this is what it was going to be about. This, I told you that the movie was going to be, woke as fuck. So I don't see why it wouldn't be, based on everything else that we've gotten out of Lucasfilm. I'm a big fan of Donald Glover. I think he's a hilarious actor. Very talented man. I don't know anything about his brother. I didn't see the movie that he mentioned, Swarm. I think it was on Netflix. It was about some rabid fan of Beyonce's. I guess he was involved in excuse me, in writing that. He might just be coming forward and saying, this is what I'm going to give you, but in a joking way. So I don't know. I could go both ways, but I'm so over Star Wars. I don't know. I don't even care.
Here's the thing is I hear all what you're saying, and this is my first time listening to this whole interview because you sent it to us earlier. I just found the spot where you told me he starts talking about it and left it because I wanted my natural reaction. I really wanted to hear what you guys thought, because I think you guys are on point, and this is just my gut talking here. I think when he's talking about stirring up fans and his whole point about making Lando white and sending it through the DNC and all the CRT crap and all that stuff, I think he's anti-woke, or at least not into this woke shit. Because we also got to, I think so. Because we got to remember as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's my vibe on it. But it's just a vibe.
I mean, the whole Chris Miller and Lord thing, aren't him and those guys and Glover good friends too? I thought they'd worked together before on some show or movie. I can't remember what. But anyway, if I'm wrong, I apologize. But it just feels like the people that he's talking about stirring up and pissing off would be the woke, right? Now, I mean, the joke about making Lando white, that sounds more like, something that would piss off them. And it sounds like them trying to play a trick on. It's like, oh, well, we're just doing what you would do, right? You're trying to make it more inclusive and race swap and all that kind of shit. Again, I could be hearing him wrong. Yeah. But
I mean, Donald Glover's incredibly talented. At least I think he is. If he had complete control with him and the people he chooses to create this, then I think it would be really, really good. But there's no way he's going to have that kind of control with Disney overseeing the project. It'll never turn out, as a Donald Glover production.
Maybe you're right. Like but what I'm hearing here is, it doesn't, because the way he's cracking these jokes, the people that he's putting on blast aren't us.
No.
Right? It sounds like he's putting the other side on blast right now. And I gotta wonder, because I would figure if you asked Danny Glover I keep saying Danny Glover, sorry. Donald Glover, what he would probably want to do with Orlando Calrissian, he'd want to make him the pimp of the fucking galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe this has a chance of being semi-decent. I could be wrong here.
Well-
I'm willing to kind of wait and see what we get out of it. Because he also said something about all this other stuff not counting or meaning anything. And that's where I think you guys were getting the whole thing from the Solo movie. Like all the Pando Lando shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
Solo is holding a heavy dark cloud over anything to do with Lando.
Yeah.
For me it is.
So I think, yeah, and I think the best thing they could do is come out and just make him one of the most sex crazed pimps in the galaxy, and that's Lando.
I think
anyway.
he's gonna be sex crazy about everything.
Well, I hope you're
Not
wrong on that part.
everyone, everything.
Mhm.
That's what I
Wow.
think. I have a very pessimistic view at the moment.
I hear you, and I wouldn't be surprised if you're right. What did you send here? We got Stephen Glover thinks whiteness is a curse. Oh boy.
Does he?
It won't let me read it because I don't have a subscription, but
What?
Oh, well.
you think you're getting out of high school annually?
I mean, I don't know Stephen Glover, so
Okay, he worked on Atlanta. I was trying to think, is that the show I was thinking of? Maybe they didn't work on that too, but
I
anyway.
enjoyed Atlanta.
I don't know. We'll have to see. It's very cryptic-ish, but from the sound of it. Now I remember the other thing we were segueing to. Amber Turd. Aqua Turd.
Yeah.
Well, we got a couple super chats here. Let's get those first. We got Mikey in the house. Hey, I have major tax due dates in March 15th and April 15th and August 15th and September 15th and August 15th. Like I said, it's all year round.
We'll see you October 16th
Till
till January 1st.
about
Yeah.
that, yeah, roughly. Christmas. Such is the life of a tax non-YouTuber Mexican. Well, you are a YouTuber. Deal with it. Kareen's in the house. How you doing? Says, as a New Yorker, he is right about the Eli part. I don't know about movie, though. Okay.
Yeah, the Eli thinks a little. I mean, poor Eli. I mean, I guess like you said, you know, Eli will always be revered for beating Tom Brady into Super Bowls. So.
Nicholas Jenkins says, so we're closing in on a decade since the release of The Force Awakens and the start of this culture war. And honestly, the fans are not winning in this war. How do we win? What do fans need to do to see change? Well, I'm going to disagree just a little bit, Nicholas. I think we're winning quite a bit. In fact, we had them on the ropes this last year with all these movies flopping. If it wasn't for Barbie, I think that Hollywood's, you would been, if let's just say we live, and this is just me, you know, thinking this is plausible. Let's just say, in the sake of argument, Barbie flops. We're in that universe, that multiverse. We would be seeing tons and tons of articles by now about how Hollywood needs to fix its woke problem. Because we were already starting to see those kind of things before Barbie. And this is why I warned people that Barbie was going to set us back quite a bit. And the debate around it is not helping, unfortunately. As far as winning, though, it's just going to be a matter of time before they realize that this is not how to appeal to fans. And some of them are coming around. As we've always said, Disney is going to be the last one to realize it, or at least admit defeat. And they may even be at the detriment of the studio itself.
Yeah.
But other than that, like the rest of the studios, I think, are well aware of this problem. A lot of the Hollywood is well aware of this problem. The strike is exacerbating things. But what do you guys think? Do you think I'm off base here? Do you think if Barbie hadn't done what it done, we'd be seeing articles like that already, or would we still have a ways to go?
Say slightly off base. I don't feel like we're at losing, but I don't feel like we're winning. I think, but I do agree on the Barbie part. I feel like there was a lot of good momentum, and obviously Barbie hurt things. I feel like we're just kind of in this middle of the road, like, oh, great. Here we go. We had all this progress, and now, boom. Now we're just stuck in the middle because of this Barbie stuff. And now it's like, and because that, it's kind of like, you know, you're at 50%, and now you have to try to get back to an 80. And it's a lot tougher. It's a lot tougher to climb that hill. So I feel like we're just right in the middle is where I'm at with it. And right now, I think it's going to be I think honestly, I mean, a lot of the chat's probably not gonna like this, but I don't think we're gonna have a world of let's just say where the pendulum swings in the let's just say the center. I give it about 10 years, maybe 12. I know that's not the ideal answer. And hey, I'd love to be wrong if it happens sooner, but realistically speaking, I just don't see it happening. I mean, you gotta remember a lot of these people who got into power, they played the long game, and a lot of them they built this stuff over decades. So they're not gonna just relinquish that type of power easily. And
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about
Yeah.
the political front. I'm talking about the social, the cultural, all
Yeah.
these big industries that are involved in this. They're not going to just surrender that power. And because it's such a monolithic giant, it takes time to make things crumble. Regimes do fall, and this will fall, but it's not going to happen within the next 5 years. I don't see that happening, and it's definitely not going to happen tomorrow. Like I said, I give it 10 to 12 years, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. It'll happen sooner. I'd love to be, but I don't see that realistically happening. I think
I agree with you. I mean, in perspective, 10 years is not a very long time. It might feel like it, but like in the course of generations, I mean, in the course of how long a business stays under one management, it takes you get those 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Barbie's the step back,
and that's exactly where we're at.
we'll slowly move into a different age
Well, we're about
cultural-
due because that's just it. It goes in about 10-year cycles if you look at it.
It
I'd
does,
argue
right?
like 20-year cycles to me.
Well, no, go
But-
back to you had 1943 is when the war ended, or war began and all that shit. And 53 is when, everything's kind of settled down and people started living that kind of a lifestyle. And then the God damn it, fucking stutter. The upheaval against the conservative lifestyle of the 50s came into the 60s where they had the upheaval there. And then that, led into the 70s where it was, again, started swinging back a bit more conservative again, and then you go back to the 80s with Reagan and all that kind of shit. And then it went back more to the, you're probably right. It is kind of more of a 20-ish year cycle, more 15-year cycle, kind of like.
Right? There's
I think
overlap,
15. I
right?
can see 15.
It depends on wars and who's.
Yeah, that's another thing. The wars that goes on. Also,
because Vietnam went on for so goddamn long.
Yeah,
That's the other thing.
Yeah. No, I could see. I can kind of agree on 15. 15 definitely seems.
But yeah, basically you had the hippie movement, which was a reaction to the 50s conservatism, and then the 70s was kind of a reaction to the conservative movement in reaction to the hippies. And the 80s is the only time where it kind of felt like you had both sides represented. In the 90s, it started leaning more left again. And then we started leaning a little more right again in the early 2000s. And then it all went back to this really huge swing to the left about 2010-ish, 11, 12 in that area. And that's where we got the woke era out of, where we're coming. And that's where I'm saying we're due for a change. But I just hope things like Barbie didn't set us back. You guys are probably right. We entered the war in 41, though. That's what I say. Yeah, it ended in 45. So that's what I was thinking is like, so out of that 10 years, that first generation came out of there. So yeah, like it's more of a 10 and 12-year cycle kind of thing.
Mhm.
But
We're
we'll have to
definitely
see.
moving in the right direction.
I hope
But
so.
it's-
I think
it's still-
so. I
it's
feel
gonna
like it.
It's going to take a few more years to really. That's why I say there's some overlap. 10's the right
can't let
answer,
up.
but so is 20. There was still.
Well, we got to remember Trump was a reaction to these folks, remember? And that was already back
Yeah.
in 2016.
Yep.
And that was before it even started. That was just when it started to really hit mainstream media.
But that's why I say 2012 is a correct date, but 2016 is really the front of it being very central, right? So we're 10 years in, but we're also really only maybe 6 years in.
I think a lot's going to depend on who wins the next election. And script doctors predicted for a while about 2024 is when we'll see the change. And I think that's probably about right. Because that's been about, 8 years since the last real flare
He's
up.
been saying the strike is an opportunity to empty the house of everybody who's causing trouble. And if they do that, then they'll have a chance to reset.
Well, outside of Disney, it seems to be the case. I mean, look at all the paused deals they have at Warner Brothers right now between JJ and Mindy Kaling and all those guys. I mean, some of them are part of the problem, right? So, I mean, that's the first step to them shows getting canceled or their deals being canceled. So yeah, and I mean, Hollywood's starting to tighten up a little bit. I'm sure we're going to see on the other end of the strike how things go. I was hoping Script would be able to join us. He said he'd be here by now, but he hasn't popped in yet to give us an update on things. But well, Nicholas, you could be right. These guys, we all have a varied opinion on when it's could and should happen. Six, did you have anything to say about it? I think you're the only one who really didn't pipe in besides Clobby.
I don't.
If either one of you
I
two
don't
have
think
anything to
anything's
say.
going to change. I think that this is our new normal, and things are just going to continue to deteriorate.
Why you got to make me so sad?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just like super pessimistic.
It's all right.
The
Clobby,
sun
anything
went
to
down,
say?
so you know.
Not getting that vitamin D. She
That's
needs the
right.
D.
I need the big D.
Not pretty much concur with it, with kind of what Six is saying. I don't think it's gonna.
Okay.
It's gonna go up and down, back and forth.
Right.
You know.
No, that's fair. All right, let's get to Aqua Turd. So we finally got the trailer today. And we got a whole 1.5 seconds of Miss Heard in the trailer. In fact, I'll get the shot up here for
Were they
y'all to see.
contractually obligated to?
Because this
include
was,
her?
yeah, no, I don't know about that. I have a theory on that too, because we actually discussed this a little bit earlier. But this is, yeah, she's in it a whole of like, I think 4 or 5 frames.
Yeah, because she gets kidnapped or something.
And this is actually I think she's in originally from what we had heard, unless they changed it, she was in a hospital bed through most of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is the non-fuzziest frame I could grab.
Wow.
And I'm sitting here thinking, boy, this is an angle that Johnny Depp must know really well.
She was in 2 parts of it, of this trailer. She was in
Did I
2
miss
parts of
somewhere
it.
that she was in
There's
it? I didn't
one
see it.
very early on, and to be very fair, it's a very micro glimpse. It's where they show the front of the Curry house, and you could see like her back. You could see that wave of red hair.
Okay. I
Sitting
see what
down
you're
in the
saying now.
grass. Like I say, it's a very micro angle, but
When he talks about having a family now and all that shit.
yeah. So like it's like you see her, but you don't, because it's her back, the back of her head of red hair.
Probably a body
Hairless red
double
hair.
anyway.
It could be, but yeah, this is clearly the only actual shot where you see her face in the entire trailer.
All right, well, I got to ask everybody up front what you thought of the trailer. Let's start there. So, Nick, what'd you think of the trailer?
You know, I didn't hate the trailer. There's things I don't like about it. I thought Black Manta looked great. I liked the idea of Arthur and his brother getting together. I'm still not for the aqua bro-ness of Arthur Curry. I like my Arthur Curry to be regal. I mean, he seems to embrace more of the kingish elements, but there's still that Momoa-ism to him. So it looks okay. It looks like it might be a decent movie, but that is, of course, now known with the knowledge that James Wan said that there's going to be stuff about environment. So I'm not going to be hopeful, but for all we know, who knows if that got taken out or if it's kept in, but it looks okay. I truly think it looks okay. I don't think it looks like a bad movie at all. I just think it looks okay.
All right, Clobby.
Yeah, well, I'm nowhere near as optimistic as Nick on this one either. I think it looks like every other silly comic book movie trailer you've seen. It's got front loads, a lot of it with telling it off the bat that he doesn't like being the king of Atlantis. He doesn't like being Aquaman. He's the same old dude-bro as he was in the last one. He's all that unfunny crap in the trailer about him and his, changing diapers and all this kind of crap. And then again, we got the tired old, I'm going to go break my bad brother out so that we can fight my even worse enemy. Ocean Master Orm is now, again, the guy who should have played Aquaman in the first place, Patrick Wilson, who looks more like Aquaman. And they're going to, it's just that old tired. I mean, how many times have we seen that? He's going to get his worst enemy to fight an even worse enemy. They're just, everything about it, the action sequences, It looks like all the same stuff we've seen over and over again. And I just don't like him in the role of Aquaman. First movie was relatively likable enough, but he kind of killed it for me. And I see nothing in this movie that makes me think it's going to be even as entertaining as the last one, which was barely entertaining for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, we've seen it all before. There's nothing in that trailer of interest or originality at all, or creativity to me at all.
6.
I did not watch the trailer. So I really can't. I have no opinion on the trailer.
All right, fair enough. CC?
Oh, there's a tremendous amount of CG in this trailer. I'm kind of with Nick. I thought it was okay, but with all the CG, it better look good. It better be well edited. It better have the time and detail put into it, or it's just going to completely fall apart. And I have to wonder. You have Jason Momoa in the movie, and he's wearing a shirt the entire time. They made a point in the trailer of there's a couple other characters who were shirtless for a brief moment, but why not just
hold on?
Why have him wear a shirt
who's shirtless
at all?
Who's
Well,
shirtless?
there's a couple, yeah,
A couple other guys.
Okay.
but
I better
Jason
go watch the
Momoa, I
trailer.
mean, come on, just forget the shirt for the entire movie, and it'll help you out in the end. But
Yeah.
you got him wearing this raggedy gray thing in that one scene too in the jungle, and I'm like,
They went out of their way to
on.
show Black Manta shirtless.
yeah, that's what it's like.
That-
You're showing the villain shirtless, but not Jason Momoa.
Yeah, that shot of that actor made me go, wow, he could have played T'Challa. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His name is Black Mantis.
For a while, they changed. I remember for a while they changed it to Devil Ray because they were afraid of calling him Black Manta, but he was always Black Manta. I mean, the comics did.
All right, sorry, Manta. Yeah.
Anyway.
I loved this trailer. It is a triumph. It is going to be amazing. It's going to be the best movie since Cats.
Triumph.
I can't wait to see it. I'm so thrilled that we finally get Aquaman in theaters November-ish, something December 12th. I don't fucking know.
Oh,
this was
said
boring.
Boxing Day, man. Dang.
Honestly, I couldn't. If it wasn't for the fact that I knew like the first few scenes were flashbacks because they said so, I wouldn't have known. This thing is literally feels like generic fucking superhero movie 2.0. To me, the first movie was more or less a Black Panther retread. This movie, like you just said, I think you've kind of nailed just about everything about it. Nick brought up certain points about the dude bro and his shit and all that shit. Like,
yeah,
wasn't that the arc of the first film? Is that he went from learning he had to actually be responsible and not a dude bro,
and now he just doesn't like to be.
No, he just doesn't like being a king, and we didn't get time to grow up with him being a king.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then the whole beginning was like daddy daycare. Yeah, I was waiting for Eddie Murphy to come out any moment and go, "Hey, Aqua Dad's changing diapers," and shit like that. It was just like,
This is dull, man. This is the same
dull.
old crap.
It was so boring.
If you'd told
see
like
anything.
a 12-year-old version of myself, then I could see that kind of thing, that kind of spectacle with coming alive on a big screen, like from comic books, like with all the monsters and the Aquaman and all the other creatures. Man, at a young age like that, when I loved Harryhausen and all these other kinds of spectacle with monsters and Godzilla and all this stuff, I would have eaten that up. I'm like, wow, are you kidding me? I've never thought something like that could become old hat and just gonna, whatever. We've seen it every day now. It's just the same as that last Tuesday.
I actually like the first Aquaman more than the first Black Panther.
Well, I did too, because Black Panther's a terrible movie.
I
didn't mind the first Aquaman movie.
I didn't hate them, but they're not like great.
I
it's all right.
enjoyed I enjoyed how, despite the broness of Momoa, I enjoyed the fun of it, and I also enjoyed the ridiculousness of it all. And I did enjoy the performances of Ocean Master and Black Manta as well. And I did like seeing Volko in there as well. So it was and I did like the world of Atlantis, even though it was obviously heavily CG. I did like seeing Atlantis. So for me, there's a lot of things I did like. So
I liked it enough one time, and second time I was like, okay.
Okay, I watched the trailer. Who's the blonde guy that looks like Aquaman?
Oh, it's
The
Ocean
way
That's
Master
Aquaman is
King
supposed
Orm,
to
his
look.
brother, Patrick
That's
Wilson.
Patrick Wilson. That's what we keep saying. Is he's the one who should have played Aquaman? Yeah.
That would have
That's
been awesome. I like Patrick Wilson. I think he would have been great if he was Arthur Curry. He definitely looks like Arthur Curry. That's
We
for
all
sure.
know that Aquaman's Vinny Chase.
Yeah. And then Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, there's only one Aquaman besides Jake Gyllenhaal. It's Vinny
I
Chase.
wonder if Ben Affleck will end up being in the movie or not. Because if you remember way back, Ben
No,
Affleck
actually,
posted
it's funny you
photos
asked that or mentioned that because
that he was on the set of that movie.
James Wan has now talked about this. He's not. None of the Batmans are. All the shit that's basically like he's like this is not connected to any of the other shit.
Wow.
He tried to play off the reshoots by also confirming that there were reshoots, which we already knew. But he's like, yeah, none of that's part of the story now, and we're not connected to any of that, is what he said.
Wow.
I guarantee you, any connection to any of the previous films outside of mention of maybe like Justice League and shit, completely erased. Cameos gone. I'm starting to wonder if they didn't reshoot a bunch of stuff that Amber Heard was supposed to be in too. But anyway, at the end of the day, I wonder, and this is my question for you guys, because this is the thing I'm curious about. Because when Flash came out right here on this podcast, we talked about it, and I didn't think it was going to do all that bad. I thought Michael Keaton would be enough to bring enough butts in the seats for at least 300-400 million.
Yeah,
on a bad
dude. I like
the fact that it underperformed even under what Shazam did.
Oh, I know.
Makes me wonder how much Ezra Miller hurt that movie's chances. And a lot more people know and hate Amber Heard than even know who the fuck Ezra Miller is.
That is
so
true.
how bad do you think that's going to hurt this movie? It doesn't matter how shirtless you got Jason Momoa at the end of the day if you got Amber Heard in here still, I think. I wonder if you guys feel the same way.
It's going to be barely in it, I'm telling you. Barely.
I think
we know
Ezra
that
Miller
but
is worse than Amber Turd in terms of how fans
you think
will
so?
react. I think so.
He is the title
Wait,
character.
say that again,
doesn't-
Cece.
No, Ezra
did you- I
Miller
didn't
was
quite catch what you said.
he was painful to watch on screen. He was just completely unlikable, and maybe Amber Turd is too, but not to such an absolute degree.
I agree with that.
Of
That
just-
may be true, and I agree with you on that point to a point, CC. But my point is you ask 10 people on the street who Ezra Miller is, maybe one or two will know who the fuck he is. You ask those 10 people on the street who Amber Heard is, I say at least 8 or 9 of those people are going to go, fuck that bitch.
Oh yeah, I saw that documentary.
But if you turn it around a little bit, if you ask
Because
people,
the Johnny Depp trial was like the OJ trial. Sorry, Klobby, you were saying. Sorry.
no, I was going to say, but Joe Schmo that goes to movies will know who the Flash is. Even if they saw the first Aquaman movie, they won't know who Mira is.
No, but she transcends that now. That's my point. Because I didn't even think Ezra could have that kind of effect on the Flash. I thought Michael Keaton trumps him easily.
I mean,
But there
the thing
was
with the
more than
Flash-
enough people who were turned off by him, evidently. Go ahead. Sorry, Cece.
Ezra Miller had such a huge part in that movie. You couldn't really. He just
couldn't look around
overpowered
him.
your experience, and
You
I
couldn't
didn't like
ignore
the
him.
way they treated Michael Keaton either. If Amber Heard's in the movie for like 5 minutes of screen time, and you're going with your friends, you say, well, there's a little piece of butt on the screen for a couple minutes, and it's not really overtaking my experience with the movie, Whereas Ezra Miller was just constantly on screen with
That's
that
fair.
facial expression, and
That's what I was thinking.
But at the end of the day, is that going to be enough for people to overlook to actually go see this in theaters? That's my big question.
No, not enough. Not enough.
But how much are normies going to see her name attached to the movie because of the strike? They're not going to be doing any promotion for it. Which
Well, and
is
I don't
probably
think
why
they would let
wanted,
her anyway. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, which is probably why they wanted to keep the release date, because then they can say, well, our actors can't go out there and promote the movie, so we don't have to worry about Amber Heard getting on camera and associating herself with our movie.
Right.
So, and if her role is small enough, then
Agreed.
they're maybe not even going to remember. I mean, yeah, if you go up to somebody and say Amber Heard, they're going to have a negative connotation. But are they necessarily going to connect her to this Aquaman movie?
my first walk through of the trailer, I didn't even notice she was in it.
Well, I
until was
noticed
told she's in
her.
it.
That one shot
Barely.
stuck out to me, but that's just because I was looking for her too. But
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm
didn't notice
saying.
her where Nick noticed her. But at the same time, that's my thing. Is like if the studio is really, if she really isn't in this movie all that much, and the studio really wanted to hide her, they don't have to put her in the trailer. As far as I know, they're not contractually obligated in any way to promote her in this movie. She is contractually obligated to promote the movie, though. But that is whether or not they want to use her. And you guys are right. As far as the strike goes, that's an easy out for them, so they don't have to tell her you're not going on the press tour for this, like they did with Ezra. But even him not going on the press tour did not help that movie, right?
Yeah.
So and Michael Keaton was out there pushing for the movie, and that's my point. I could be wrong, but
Do we know that it's not in her contract for her to be in the trailer?
I've never heard of that necessarily being a thing in somebody's contract, because as far as I know, it's up to the discretion of the studio, and that's the way most contracts are set up. Is like, because like that's where sometimes bigger stars will get into squabbles if they don't want to go on the press junkets, that they can have it put in their contract that they don't want to do that, but then sometimes that costs them some money, because otherwise that's considered part of the job, right? But it's up to it's up to the studio's discretion whether or not they want to push that contract, because it's a contract with them. It's like you're obligated to go out and promote this show and blah 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 blah.
Because why would they put her in it?
I was thinking you want, and this is see, because Andre was wondering that too about the contractual thing. I'm like, I've never heard of that ever, where an actor is contractually obligated to be in a trailer. Now they negotiate for where their placement is on, like, in the hierarchy of like the actors. And I wish Script was here for this, because he'd probably know. But at the end of the day, what I really think it's all about is, I think Warner Brothers didn't want her in the trailer at all. I think James Wan and people that were involved with the production did. So I think this was a compromise.
Oh, okay.
That's my take.
The other thing, they're putting this on Boxing Day, so they're trying to get that prime time slot. But if it's really just a 6 out of 10 CGI fest that people are lukewarm on, and they're already kind of, tired of it, I mean, the baseline for this movie can't be more than a few $100 million, despite Amber Turd, to begin with. And it can't really go up from there. It can only go down,
Yeah. Well, let's see. We got a super chat from Gonzalo in the house. How you doing? Says the only way people are going to go watch this is if the end credit scene is Momoa becoming Lobo. So true. And we have joining us Mr. 70s rock fan himself. How you doing, Brian?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Hanging in there. We were just talking about the Aqua Turd trailer. Did you watch it?
He comes with British steel.
I do come with some British steel.
You got another thing
The Mighty
coming.
Priest. You got
Very
good.
Yeah. I guess we'll be living after midnight tonight.
Yeah, as long as you're not breaking the law, you'll be fine.
Oh. Well, what can you say? I'm a metal god.
Yeah, did you
How many
see me
more?
with your electric eye?
Hey,
So what was your point of entry, I would say?
Oh.
I'm one of the defenders of the faith, man.
Point of entry has to be the gayest title of all.
Oh, excuse me while I go
Turbo
take my,
Lover. Turbo
excuse me
Lover.
while I go take my painkiller. I'm about to have a metal meltdown.
Anyway, I think we've exhausted the Judas Priest puns.
Speaking of mental meltdowns and actors who are problems for the studio, did you guys see this? Jonathan Majors pulls apart girls during a fight.
What, literally
Yeah,
limb
I
from
saw
lim
that.
pulls them apart?
No. He
He
stopped
wasn't
the
pushing
fight.
them together.
No
cheering
shit.
them on.
I'm not going to show the video because sadly TMZ owns it. And I think that should tell you everything about this. Now I got to know. Do you guys, if you haven't seen the video, I'll share it for the guys in the chat and for you guys in the private here too, so you can really kind of just watch it quick. But it just seems, to me personally, just staged. Yeah, there's some realism to it, but you commented on my post a bit earlier too, and I think you were in the same feeling I was. It just didn't have the energy of a real fight video.
Yeah, these girls, there's no anger there. They're literally just rolling on the ground, play fighting, taking like soft jabs at each other. This is not it's not a real fight.
Doesn't
Now,
feel real.
Whether or not Jonathan Majors he actually happened to be there, infinite improbability, or not, I mean, because one thing that can be said, it'd be very, very common for a couple of people in a high school to stage a fight with each other just to get attention within the school. That doesn't have to include Jonathan Majors. I'm totally convinced this is not a real fight. Whether or not Jonathan Majors was actually involved for his own PR, that's a little tougher to say, right? But he happened to be at the right place at the right time, just happened to,
What are the odds?
you know. Yeah, exactly.
I think it's real. I
You
watched
think
the
it's
video.
real?
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it, but my thinking would be that he's probably got someone following him around, filming him all the time for
Mhm.
reasons just like this, so that, you know.
Nice truck. It's a nice
Okay,
truck.
let's assume the absolute worst about him, and let's assume that everything that everybody has said about him is true.
I'm
He
trying
is
to
not
comply.
He's not Satan. He's not always 24 hours a day going to be a horrible person. He might
Mhm.
genuinely have a good side because he has people who are friends of his who have stuck up for him in the media.
Yep.
And he has gotten he
I honestly have not seen one yet where somebody stuck up for him six. I'm
I'm not gonna Google that. All I'm saying is nobody is evil all the time.
No, and
So
that's
I
not
think
even my
it's
point.
possible.
Oh, yeah. If
I
you got
think it's
cameras
possible.
following
No,
you
but what I'm saying is I
24/7,
think
you'll
it's
pick it.
possible. What's that, CC?
Oh, so if you have someone following you 24/7 just to capture that moment, then you'll find it and you'll advertise it
But I
as soon as
think-
it comes up.
It's possibly that he knows they're following him, and it's all
No,
part
I
of
get
the
what Six
TMZ
is
thing.
saying. Most people who go and they see two people fighting like this, are they really going to get involved though?
In this
Especially
day
if you're
and age.
somebody like Jonathan Majors. I
You
don't know.
wouldn't?
I
If
don't
you
know.
saw two high school kids fighting?
I don't know if one of them got a fucking gun. Like, I don't trust kids nowadays. And the last thing I want to do is get in between two kids who are underage, because then I got one of them saying
Well,
they
that's
hit
what I was
me.
gonna say.
Yeah.
He's already
and
got
that's the
enough
other
heat
thing.
on him. This could go terribly wrong.
Yeah, I was like, I wish I could show the video, because I mean, there is points where I was kind of questioning. I'm like, is this real? But then I'm like, by the time where he gets involved in just the way that the audience is reacting and the voices and the way everybody's talking and acting, it just feels kind of generically staged.
I
And you
think
can't
what
really
we-
make out half of what they're saying sometimes. I don't know.
Tom, what we need to know is, did somebody break the writer's strike to write this? That's the more
It counts
important
as
question
writing.
here. That's the important question.
I don't know. I tend to look for the best
I know.
in people, and I don't like to paint anybody except for Kathleen Kennedy as all bad all the time.
And I mean, I want to play these videos for you guys, but unfortunately, it's TMZ and they claim everything. I'll be surprised if they don't claim this just showing these pictures. I'm not kidding.
Oh, really?
They're that
Really?
bad. Yeah.
Oh,
They are
pics?
jerk offs. Oh yeah. Well, I'm kind of being facetious there,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
mean, yeah.
Wow, that's
And I have no idea what I would do if I ever came across. I mean, until you're in that situation, you don't know what you're going to do.
If
So
I
don't
knew
need to
the
act like
people
I'm so
six-
tough and I'm going to go break up a fight or anything
Okay.
like that.
Here's where I'll answer that. If I knew the people six, yes. If they were kids, like little kids, yes. Once you're getting to that point where they're like teenagers and you got a group of them standing around like that, the last thing
Right.
I'm going to do is get fucking
Extremely
involved. I'll call the
dangerous, yeah.
cops.
Yeah.
And if they're in
Right.
front of a school, where's the school security?
Mm.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
think
it's a
they
fact
don't
of
have
life.
any.
I think
Yeah.
there were, I don't know.
It says
No,
it was in
so
front
like-
of a school.
Okay. So like if you saw me and Arwen Avalon fighting, you
Yeah.
wouldn't stand back and watch. You'd break it up.
Film it.
Well, it
He
depends on
knows
if you were
you.
in mud wrestling or not.
We film it on, put it on.
This
Put it on
hardly
TMZ.
qualifies as a fight.
And that's
They're
another thing.
Literally just
One thing you do
There's
not
some
do.
I don't know.
Is it
This
in
is one thing
Jell-O?
a
Are we
man learns
talking in
early on.
Jell-O?
You do not get in the middle of two women fucking fighting.
Uh-uh.
You do have to be extremely careful with that kind of thing, as Tom said. It's
You
in
can
this
get
day and
hurt.
age,
You can lose an eye.
but you could
Well,
be very
do you think
easily
that you-
become the or the perceived aggressor in such circumstances. Yeah.
Okay, so either the fight was fake and they were throwing soft punches, or you could get hurt. Which is it?
Mm.
No,
I'm not
I'm
even
saying
waiting.
I
We're throwing
wouldn't
at
do
each
it
other?
because
No
I
one's getting
wouldn't
hurt.
want to get in the middle of it, is what I'm saying. As
You
far
would-
as what
you
they're
would not
doing in the
have-
video,
You would not have broken that up. And if not, why? because you're afraid of getting hurt.
You're not afraid of getting hurt. You're afraid of getting in legal difficulty later.
That is one thing I would be, especially
Oh my
being
God.
Jonathan Majors. If I was somebody like in his shoes, definitely that'd be my first concern.
Mm.
Secondly, they appear to be and obviously are minors. So the last thing you want to do is get yourself in a situation. No, I'm fucking serious. When it comes to minors, unless you work for the school, you do not want to get involved in this shit. Because then if one of them accuses you of grabbing them or hitting them the wrong way, you're the one getting in trouble.
What
Yep,
if you get accused of not doing anything? You just stand by and let the kids beat each other up. That's
It's
child
not my
endangerment.
problem.
But it
They're not
could
my
be. You
kids,
could
not
be held
my school.
accountable.
If it looks like someone,
Okay, we're getting into semantics.
Yeah,
We are.
We're never gonna. I hope that the truth comes out, but honestly, we're probably never gonna know who's right.
The difference is, okay, like if I saw a couple of kids fighting on the street, like I said, depending on what age group they looked in and the amount of kids that were in the group, that would all depend. I might stop and say, hey, knock it off. And they're just going to say, go fuck yourself, old man. And I'm going to be, all right. I'll call the cops. Because in most cases, unless they're, like I said, unless it's somebody I know or it doesn't seem to be a very hostile crowd, you don't know who's got a gun. And if you don't know their age and everything like that. And one thing I was taught is not to get involved in fights. But now if I saw like a man,
I was taught to help people.
See,
so
now let me
just
finish
about
though.
to say,
Now, if I saw like a man beating on a woman, now we're talking a completely different scenario. If we saw some dude who's like, 6 foot nothing beating up some little like mentally retarded kid, you're talking a completely different scenario here.
Well,
right?
Yeah.
These two looked equally matched. They weren't even being very fierce, and the crowd wasn't even like with it. It was sounding very generic, so it felt very kind of like they're throwing soft punches and making sure neither one of them got hit in the face directly. They're doing a lot of rolling
Exactly.
around. When the one girl was still freaking out afterwards, hitting and swinging out, she kind of hit Jonathan Majors, but it almost looked like she was pulling her punches. And I mean, the whole thing just kind of felt staged as fuck.
If I see this on the street, I might approach it just to investigate. You can see it at a distance, but then I would see them rolling around on the ground, kind of playfully. They're not hitting each other they're barely even hitting each other. There's a very kind of
I've seen some pretty
lightness in the
vicious
air.
fights on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, there's when you have a really dangerous situation, you can feel that tension, and it's not here. Now, does that mean that there isn't somebody in the crowd who's going to escalate things unnecessarily who has a weapon? That's certainly possible, right? But as far as the immediate crowd in this vicinity, these two girls and the people filming it, it's almost like they're laughing, and there's no real serious
There's a
threat
lot of
injury.
laughing. There's a lot of laughing in the video. That's what kind of I noticed too. Yeah. Sorry.
For the record, everything we're saying is opinion.
This is true.
absolutely.
This is true.
Yeah.
Nobody on
mean-
this panel or in chat has any idea whether it was fake or not. So
No, and that's obvious.
just
That's why I'm
making that
asking.
real clear.
And that's really what this is all about. But thank you, Six, for making that clear again. But that's really what I'm asking you guys. And look, I'm not saying Six is wrong. I'm not saying anybody in the chat who thinks it wasn't staged is wrong either. And I'm not saying I'm right. At this point, though, I see very little evidence to support it. It looks like a perfect PR moment for Jonathan Majors to kind of help boost his image a little bit. The fact that it's coming to us from TMZ and no place else is even more sus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because TMZ is well known for Amber fucking Heard. Remember the story there? We got a clear vision into how they work. Amber's folks, or her called fucking TMZ, said we're going to be coming out of the fucking police station at this time because she's filing for divorce, and they got their snapshots of her and her fake fucking bruises.
TMZ's brand is right there with the magazines you see at the checkout at the grocery store. That's their thing.
And TMZ has been the only one who's been posting the shit of his fucking lawyers. And that's another thing is plenty of people, if you look in the comments, are like, knowing their lawyer, I wouldn't put it past them to set something like this up.
Well, a keen
Again.
lawyer would suggest it.
Well,
Off
it's
the
a
record.
perfect opportunity, right? It makes him look like a peacemaker.
See, I have to say that in this day and age, things like the National Enquirer and that other one, World, whatever, are far
World
more
news.
credible. Are far more credible outlets the last 10 years in the mainstream media.
That's the sad part. Is
Yeah,
like
that's-
Brian.
far more-
Back when TMZ first kind of became a thing, I compared them mostly to that kind of shit. To me, that's about the level they were. And if it is true, most of the time it's just salacious he said, she said bullshit. Yeah,
This scene,
TMZ
no,
is
this
a
whole-
legitimate.
This the more you say, see, I wasn't sure what to make of this Jonathan Majors thing, but the more you say, it just I'm starting to think, yeah, it was a scripted thing to repair.
Maybe not even
things. Which,
scripted
to be
necessarily,
fair,
but
I do think, and I've said before, I've gone on records way back. You guys can dig back in February, March. I do think he's innocent. That said, I could be wrong, but I do think
What?
he's innocent. Yeah, in that case, I straight up believe he's innocent.
Oh, okay.
I think Nick might have been one of the people who said, "No, I think this bitch
I
is
think he's
lying."
innocent. I was one of the very first people who said I think he's innocent, and I'm willing to retract my statement if I'm wrong, of course.
And
But
I would
think
normally,
he's
and
innocent.
I said I
But-
normally would feel the way you do, Nick, or I would
Uh-huh.
believe that, especially with the way the media runs. The only problem is, and this was going off of what I was saying to Six earlier, because I was serious when she's like, people have come out in support of him. I'm like, who? Please point me, because I've not seen one. In fact, I've seen the absolute opposite. Everybody has come out and said, "Oh, we knew this about him. We were just waiting for this shit to happen."
Well,
and when you've got a
see,
dozen people saying that kind of shit, that's very sus.
but that happens a lot too.
It
Where
does.
they
I know. Well,
go,
look at
there's
Danny
always a,
Masterson,
"Oh,
though.
I
Same
don't-"
kind of thing.
Well,
I don't know.
the
Speaking
trouble-
of
the
Danny
trouble from-
Masterson, this stuff looks as scripted as that Danny Masterson response that Ashton Kutcher or Mila Kunis has about, "Oh, we care about victims." Yeah, you
yeah,
were
well,
told
that's the
that you were told to care about victims for the camera. Shut up.
For me,
bitch.
the trouble is I don't trust either the court of law or the court of public opinion to get it
I
right.
don't either. I really don't.
Sadly, anymore, that's kind of the case. And the only thing with the Danny Masterson situation is, if it wasn't for the whole Scientology bit, on the surface, the whole thing looks like he's a victim of Me Too. But when you come across and start digging and realizing that there was some covering up of sorts, then you got to ask yourself, well, why are they covering anything up if there's nothing here?
Mhm.
Then, yeah, that's when things start looking a little,
Hmm.
suspect. But yeah.
Yeah, I do find that it's a symptom again of the current day and age that the accusations were made against Jonathan Majors, and then immediately everybody moves to guilt rather than letting the process play out. And I'm not saying he's guilty or innocent.
No.
I have no idea. But they were pretty quick to throw him under the bus, a lot of people, like they do
Yeah.
all the time now, without giving the process a chance.
That's a
to
fair
play out.
point, Brian. But like, that's the thing, though. If he had the difference, this is where I'm coming from, and this is where, like, Nick, my first gut reaction was kind of more along the lines of Nick. I'm like, oh, this is just some hoe talking shit,
Mhm.
And then I saw the people come out and say, oh, we knew this about him. This is not the first time. He's been abusive in other situations, and da 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 da. When you get that kind of a situation, you start to question it, because it's like, this sounds like Bill Cosby all over again, compared to something like Johnny Depp. When Amber Heard come out and started making her accusations on him, you had literally zero people come out in support of her,
Well, I get
other than
that,
her
yeah.
sister, and everybody else on the other going, wait a minute, time the fuck out. We have never felt that way about Johnny.
The
And not
first
only that, we've never seen
question-
him do any of that kind of shit or whatever,
The first question, though, that should be asked of anybody who says, oh, I knew about this and he's been doing this all along, is, well, why didn't you say something before then?
Well, and that's a
And they
common thing, and
never
that goes
do.
back to some of the other things. And sometimes they do, right? And even people are cornered about, like, Weinstein, and they're asked, well, why didn't you do something? And some people will be like,
Power
it's
and-
not always necessarily what we know or what we didn't know. It's just that, it was people would talk. And sometimes you would
Which isn't
witness
proof,
things and you wouldn't think, and you wouldn't think about it until after the fact when somebody says something else about it. So I'm not going to give them a pass, but I am going to say, unless you have something conclusive, I can see where it's very difficult to necessarily believe everything you hear, in
Yeah.
Hollywood. Like, it'd be the same
Yeah.
thing in YouTube. I hear shit all the time about YouTubers. Do I believe it half the time? Fuck no. Not unless I see some actual proof,
Well,
I mean, I hear all the.
not,
Or if it's
I'm
Brian.
not giving it a pass either, but I can at least appreciate that going against the mob is a very frightening thing to do. You
It's
get a
tough in
feeling for where
Hollywood, I would imagine.
people are kind of going, and the safe thing is to simply agree with it. And often that's guilty.
All right,
mean,
well,
I've
I'll
heard
give
lo-
6 at least 1 point on this one, although it's kind of a generic.
Are we keeping track?
No. Well, if you want
Because
to,
I'll
I
start
guess.
writing shit down.
Go for it. I'm just saying.
No.
I did put the challenge out there, and you found it. I had not seen that, so.
I've heard a lot of rumors on YouTube over the years that Nick is Lemmy's love child. That's
I cannot confirm nor deny any of this information
heard
that's
that one.
being brought to the table. All I know is I could say, "Rest in peace, Dad." No, hold on. You didn't hear me say "Dad," but
it's
rest
easy
in
to throw
peace.
these accusations around, you know.
Hey, the chances of me having Lemmy be my dad is as likely as there being a Justin Castro up in Canada. I mean,
There will be some
That's
backdoor
pretty
entry for
goddamn
Danny.
good. Did your mom happen to go to a concert about 30-some years ago?
Yeah.
Amongst the sea of ladies who fell prey to those wonderful warts on his face.
He got,
most likely.
She got one of the seeds.
She got one of the seeds.
I think Motorhead's music was loud enough that you didn't actually physically have to have sex with Lemmy.
I was gonna say, I was just gonna say something like that. I was like, he might actually be one of those few people who can impregnate you with your voice. Yeah, like
immaculate conception.
Because he was most famous for breaking mics all the time. I don't know if you guys ever heard that before. I'm sure you guys, the music guys, have, but
He's broke. Oh yeah, I mean,
almost
Lemmy
every
was-
session. Like in fact, most famously, one of the last
Whiskey.
things he did for the Jack Black Tenacious D thing, they said he broke, I think, 2 or 3 mics just doing that.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
Well, you breathe that much alcohol on electronic equipment, something's going to go wrong.
Well, it's just the power
Pure
of that
Jack
voice,
Daniels.
man.
He's
Dude, the power,
legendary.
the power of Jack and Lemmy. That he was.
Or no, I
freaking
was
up
thinking
until
of-
he died.
Or no, I'm not thinking of Lemmy. I'm thinking of shit. Wrong guy.
I think Lemmy may have ruptured a few eardrums, but I don't think he broke any microphones. Not
Lemmy
that-
was
there
yeah.
was a reason they used the quote everything louder than everything else.
I like that
because
quote.
yeah, we are Motorhead and we play rock and roll,
We play rock and roll.
dude.
Don't
yeah.
forget.
I was thinking of what's his face, who was the singer for Dio. Yes, thank you,
Oh,
guys.
Ronnie.
Oh,
I got
Ronnie
two mixed up.
James
That was my
Dio.
fault. That was my fault. That
Rest
was
in
my
Since
peace,
you
fault.
bring
Ronnie.
Dio up, like some people age better than others.
If you
But
haven't
make
noticed,
some
what's the 90s?
time. If you're a fan, man, make some time and listen to his final tours. This guy was in his late
Yeah.
60s, and
That's
he
what I was
sounded
saying.
He
Legend.
as
sounded
great
great
as he-
until he died.
That's what I was
Greater.
saying. Is when he did that shit for Tenacious D, like he was still kicking ass, right? Like
I'm working on a Dio show
But
for the physical release.
I didn't
of
mean to get the
his
two
movie,
mixed up.
so
We're 90 minutes
Oh,
in. You
stay
guys
tuned
know
for
I'm
that.
getting low here.
We have
His
some
last
special
album,
guests.
Dio's
then-
last album before he died
was a
with
classic.
It was great. Obviously, it couldn't be called Black Sabbath because Sharon Osbourne is a fucktard.
Yeah,
But
screw,
it was-
screw
it's- I
that.
call- I
It's a
call
black. It's one of the
Black
best Black
Sabbath
Sabbath
albums.
albums.
It was
Period.
damn good.
Yep.
D
Absolutely.
Bud wants to know how much he has to pay to see Arwen and Six fight in a video.
It depends. Is it
Um,
in Jello? If it's in Jello, that's extra.
If I can sell tickets, it might be less than you'd think. So we just gotta plan this correctly, and it could be very lucrative for
People
everybody
would actually
involved.
travel it. I'm sure. I'll stay at home and have my pizza, but I'm sure everyone in this chat would travel for it.
I think
I'd
we
have to
should
be
do
the
opposite.
MC.
We should get Arwen and Six to travel to everybody else to do.
Welcome to the match of the century, folks. We've got
Tour.
Jello, we've got mud. But
like a
thank
power
you.
slap thing. You know that booty slap that they do? That's what it should be. That booty slap
Oh, Lord.
competition.
I wouldn't mind slapping Arwen's booty.
Hello.
No, who would? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the cock. Oh my God, the cock. Oh my God, the cock. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's our stories, kids. We're caught up. I didn't see anything else unless I
Slow.
missed it.
Slow.
I wouldn't say it was necessarily slow. Just
Got Jim Watari.
what about Jim Watari?
Oh,
Gifted
geez, yeah.
20 Midnight's Edge.
Oh
Holy
my!
shit,
Well, thank
yeah.
you.
Oh,
flooding the
my.
chat.
Well played,
Oh
Jim.
my!
Oh, my.
Very generous.
Yes, indeed. Welcome.
Excellent.
Thank you, Jim.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. I think we need to do something for that. Let's do a.
You do
Let's
something for the members.
do. I know. I need to do something for my member. Let's do an Oscar-winning puppy. We haven't done one now. I'm in a while.
Oh yes.
We like the Oscar-winning puppy. He deserves it, and
You
so
know
does
who
Jim.
I haven't seen in a while. What's that dog's name? The one doing
Journey?
the dishes.
Oh no, the dishes. Oh,
Hey, excuse me. Nada. Are you doing dishes? I hope so.
I love that one. You know, this isn't a dog one, but did you guys? If you've been on my Twitter, you probably saw this. But I got to show this. This is hilarious. This is. Oh, I got to show this first. Off the Jonathan Majors bit. Same energy.
That's right. Yeah. Now that you mention it, there is a similarity. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So all we needed was a Wesley Snipes.
Now somebody's got to cut this to beat it. Don't you ever come around here? Yeah.
Did you watch the whole video? Because after he breaks it up, they go at it again.
I didn't. I watched.
It's
the whole
like
thing
there's like a second act.
Just let it play out.
Yeah, you got to watch the whole thing.
It looked to me like handbags at dawn, we used to call it. It's never going to develop into a real fight. It's just a sort of.
Yeah, it seemed kind of wonky to me. I don't know.
But you never know these days. You never know.
That's what I was saying. A couple of high school students just stayed choosing on their own to stage a fight for attention. That's totally plausible.
I think Six will get a kick out of this one if she hadn't seen it already. She may have. Geek Daddy posted this. This is hilarious. This girl must have taken a different CPR class. I didn't know there was music. I better cut the music out. So is this the proper way to do it, Six, here?
No.
Evidently, she went to a different class than everybody.
What is she doing?
I don't know. She's putting him on his side. Okay.
Was he a drowning victim?
I don't know.
She's going to look for his wallet.
That's how you know if they're faking it or not.
I love the wind up. The wind up is what sells it.
Yeah. But yeah, the recovery position. Everyone should know how to do that.
I thought we needed that to go out on a laugh. It's not
that's
a kitty
what I
or a
do every
puppy,
time
but-
one of my patients. Every time I think one of my patients is faking it, I just stick my
No
finger
wonder
up
you're
their butt.
popular.
Yeah.
See what happens.
But yeah, everyone should know how to do the recovery position and the hand maneuver.
That's right.
But not at the same time necessarily, but you know.
Well, thank you so much, guys. It's been fun. Let's start with Nick. What do you got going on today?
I'll be on Thursday Night Throwdown in an hour. Comics Division's channel. It's gonna be huge. And tomorrow night, the Comic Shop Talk. We're gonna be open for business. Have an open geek discussion. The Comic Relief Crusader will be a guest with us, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're just gonna have a random just chat, just whatever's on our mind. Old comics, new comics. Maybe we'll have debates. On these open shows, you never know what gets discussed. It can end up being where we dissect Batman suits for 3 hours or 3 episodes. You never know. But yes, come check out the channel. And next week, Toxic Tuesday, The Expendables. So come hang out with us. It's gonna be amazing. And also, Clobby's got a clubhouse as well. So if you're one of those clubhouse, we'll let him have the ball.
Go for it, Clobby.
Well, in about a little over an hour, the clubhouse with Raquel and Mark D, of course. We're going to, it's number 99, so we'll do our special one next week for number 100. But we're just going to do the usual stuff, hang out with our friends. We're talking about we're reviewing a couple TV shows as we always do in the Star Trek comic and all kinds of other funs, hanging out, talking many things, all geek, of course. And then tomorrow night, before going with Nick, I'll be at my buddy J-Man's channel. We're reviewing all of Jack Kirby's Fourth World. Then over to J-Man with the comic shop guys. And then Saturday night, Star Trek. We've got 4 more episodes of Star Trek Voyager in our mission to review all of Real Trek 66 through 05 only. Thanks for having me, Tom. I appreciate it. And great panel friends and great friends in the chat. Have a great weekend.
Glad to have you here. And as always, you're welcome. We got CC. What you got going on?
As always, we got Friday night karaoke with Mr. Tom Connors and guests.
I heard it's
And-
problematic.
Well, yeah, no, I got called a lot of names. Karaoke is the same as every other community. I'm definitely problematic.
learn how to trigger individuals.
CC,
It's
not taught by a Jedi.
I
can
create
show you
unsafe
the way.
spaces.
CC, have you been able to persuade Tom Connors to do some stomping Tom Connors? Because
No.
that would be meta.
No, I refuse to listen to his music.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Our
Sounds like
performances
hillbilly
may
music.
vary, but I
I'm
can
saying.
guarantee you, if you just leave it playing, we're not gonna screw up your speakers. It's dependable audio.
Not
Like you're
intentionally.
tuning into the radio.
What'd you say, 6?
Stompin' Tom Connors. It sounds like hillbilly music.
It is. Canadian hillbilly music.
Canadian hillbilly
Oh,
music.
that's even worse.
You
I
have no
mean-
idea how many times in my life I was asked, are you related to Stompin' Tom Connors?
Yeah.
I have had people hit me up on social media going, are you related to Stompin' Tom Connors? Would you like to be part of a group of us Tom Connors? I'm like, what are you talking about? Yes, there's a bunch of us.
Come on, just give us a chorus of the good old hockey game. Come on.
So I have one of the most lamest names in history. I should have went with my radio name that I had in high school, or not high school, but
Theopolis P. Wildebeest.
radio school. No, it was Keith Washington. It was just the old porn style. You take your middle name, mix it with a street you were living on at the time, and yeah.
Right.
What?
And I had some other ones I used to use. Tomcat was my main DJ one until I found out that's a gay porn star.
So you're a gay porn star.
Not
Truth
very-
revealed.
Just
Here
not
No
a
matter
Successful
what I
one.
do, no matter what I do, I can't win.
Oh, that is hilarious.
My name from here on out is going to be Max Powers.
That explains so much
Phil
about
McCracken.
why you frequent on Toxic Tuesday.
That's right. But yes, indeed. Brian, what do you got going on?
Probably. Well, I pop up like the unwanted uncle at Christmas on various shows. It'll probably be next show. I definitely will be on. Will be someone that sounds like me will be on it. Will be the Cotton Council on Snowdub's channel
Potatoes.
on Saturday night, which is a hilarious fun. If you've never seen the Cotton Council on Saturday night, Snowdub channel, lots of fun. Puppets, lots of puppets, and the occasional fleshy.
Meat puppets.
Meat puppets, no puppets. We have puppets and do actual puppetry. I say we. I watch it. And there's a Scottish puppet on it. I don't know. It could be my cousin. And then obviously Culture After Dark and Midnight's Edge wrap up. Midnight's Edge After Dark wrap up Sunday. However, on Monday, I am going to bring a gift of extraordinary magnitude to the world. My show on Monday afternoon will be on Kentucky Fried Movie. So we're doing
The John Landis
the
classic.
cult comedy crew will be Kentucky Fried Movie and the Abrams Zucker brothers collaboration. And he did. It was
Didn't
the
Landis have something to do with that
it was
too,
the
though?
second John Landis directed movie. Tom, you can tell me the first.
I don't know about the first, but he directed this.
Yeah, well, the first one
forget.
was Schlock. I think it was
Schlock.
called.
Oh, that's right, Schlock.
With
I
the
couldn't
biggie.
remember if he did that first or the other
Yeah,
one. But
With Rick
so,
Baker.
yeah.
so the show will be about Kentucky Fried Movie, and if you do come and watch it at 3 p.m. Central Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Mountain Time, 4 p.m. Central, you will have my gratitude. That's all I can say. Big Jim Slade may make an appearance too.
6, what do you got going on?
I tomorrow morning I will be in a weightlifting class at my gym. You can catch me there. Other than that, I have nothing.
I don't know if you want
planned.
people stalking you there.
Or are you doing the stalking?
Good point.
I got nothing.
All right. Well, I'm sure you'll be back on one of the shows here sooner than later. And with that, you'll find me on the morning show tomorrow. I might pop into the Throwdown tonight, depending on what they're talking about, if it doesn't make me want to throw up. And do check out that link that I just threw in the chat. That's where you can get this awesome, speaking of John Landis and Rick Baker, American Werewolf in London, Ultimate Kessler Werewolf 7-inch scale figure.
Ooh,
That's
that
right.
gets a Christian
Nice.
Bale. Ooh.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It helps us out here if you use that link.
Huge.
It is kind of huge. It's very, very big.
Big link.
Yes, indeed. So thank you very much, kids. See you on the flip side. Take care of yourself.
I got molested in a little boy's room.
Say it.